Alright guys, so it's finally time. You guys seen that it got rolled over the summer. It isn't, that much damage. Bending that pipe, bending that pipe. But we're gonna go ahead and start ripping this thing down and start the process. Thing is going to get a complete facelift. You'll recognize it in certain ways because I'm not changing the wrap, but almost everything else is changing. So we're going to start a time lapse, and this is going to be multiple videos. It's going to be kind of like maybe a series. Just show you process, or progress as it goes along. So today we're going to go ahead and try to get it ripped down. So we'll go ahead and start a time lapse. Alright guys, at the moment, you guys seen the cage come off. It went out to powder coat, and or not off to powder coat, it came off. We're waiting on new cage, having some shifting difficulties there, but in the meantime there's not really a whole lot I can do, so I'm just buttoning up little things. Like I bought this Sparko steering wheel used, and I had a Hess quick disconnect. I'm not doing a review on parts or anything. This is just showing you what I'm doing. So I put a steering wheel on it. The buttons aren't hooked to anything. Gonna have to redo all my wiring for my cage. Yeah, just a bunch of random stuff going on. But I did have some packages show up. Like my mirror got broke, so I got a new mirror. It's like 15 bucks on Amazon. It's just a curved mirror. I've been using them for a long time. I like it. Those are obviously my harnesses out of this machine. This is pretty cool. Like, I've never used this product or anything like that, and it's not like the greatest, but it's a chase bar. I'll show you, But ordered some new wiring, run through the cage, some LED wiring. I've used that before. I used to have an LED clear map light that ran from the front of the cage to the back of the cage, and obviously that got destroyed taking it out. It's gonna be no good going back in, so I went ahead and bought a new one. They're like 10 bucks. It's all Amazon stuff. Works good. You guys need lighting in the trail, works good. Show you the box open. I'll try to get everything out. Sounds like some mounting hardware. I think this light's pretty cool. The chase light has lots of features. It's unique. It's not like your normal cheap chase light or anything like that. Heavy duty wiring. Look at that. Wow. Nice plug-in. So that is the brand. This is for all the features that it has. Not gonna happen. Give me a minute. Alright, so got the cover pulled off. This thing looks way better in person than it does online, and it looks pretty cool online. So here's why I did it. We turned her over. There you have it. So most chase lights, you know, say $100 chase light, it's got 4 or 6 individual lenses, you know, and they just feel chintzy and, you know, not the greatest of quality. And I liked how this had individual little boxes around each thing. So what's cool about this is if you want, for some reason you want these lenses to be blue, you just unscrew this, or most of the time it comes with new lenses. Some of them were more expensive, had all the different lenses and stuff like that. I could make this is a backup light, which the blue illuminating off the back of your machine, like in the trails, I think it's pretty cool. It doesn't just blind the people behind you, but you can change these lenses to clear lenses, to where then they're just white lights, you know. These are amber strobes. They do a whole bunch of different patterns back and forth. These outer red lights work as your brake lights, your running lights, and your turn signals. If you hook all those features up. You don't have to hook them all up, but you can. And then the blue, it doesn't flash or do nothing like that. You just turn it on or off. And, yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty stout. Sorry, my camera skills aren't the greatest today. But, let's see, I think it's got one mounting point on the end. And so my thing is they always normally come with some pretty cheap brackets. And I don't like the brackets. So, let's see what they look like. So this one has multiple mounting brackets. I forgot about that. So, basically, trying to multitask here ain't working out too well. This bracket would slide in the back of the light and mount around a bar. Okay, that's a lot better than a lot of things that come, you know, that come with the light. This other one, you got some hardware here. Yeah, then it comes with these L brackets, and it allows you to mount it off the backside. I don't really like that, so let's go over here. I made these different brackets on the CNC machine, so it's notched. That one's just so we can weld it flat to the roll cage. These are some little mirror mounts. Hopefully, eventually we'll sell those and make it to where you guys can purchase them. But I'm going to make my own mounts and use my own mounts. And I'm going to build this into my wing. If you guys remember, on the back of my machine, up at the top of the roof, was 2 brake lights. This is going to be now built in there. Hopefully it all works out as I'm imagining. Alright guys, so this video is going to kind of, I don't know, be a little bit different. Just for the fact that there's a lot of things going on. I'm really limited on time. And I ordered a new cage. And I don't know, 3 days later, called the company and said, hey, do you got an ETA on shipping? When's it going to be here? You know, I got, you know, rides to do and stuff like that. Needless to say, they said the tubing is going to be out of stock for 2 months and possibly longer because they're in the process of switching to a new building, new location. So, I mean, he said it could be 3 months. I don't have that kind of time. We want to do winter rides with this thing. My cage wasn't really that bad, but it was tweaked. You know, right here was mainly the tweak, right in this area. It was just down about 1/8 of an inch. And maybe a 1/4 inch max. But anyways, had some damaged roof brackets right here I cut off, and here cut off, and here cut off. But I ended up taking and putting a bender on it and bending, making a template out of cardboard, which I have right over here. I have multiple ones, but this basically was the shape of my cage. Okay, I don't even know if that's the exact one I used, but I made a couple of them. Anyways, I took a bender, an A-frame style bender, strapped it on here, and was able to push up, push the bend out. I had to do it multiple times and very little at a time. And like tweaked wise, like where it mounted, I didn't really have any spring or any bow or anything like that. So basically what I did is I pushed the cage up, got it back to where the cage looks awesome. Now, the bender did put some dimples right here. You can't really see it here and here and here. So what I'm going to do is I ordered a tubing sander. And basically what it does is I don't have it yet. It should be here today. It goes around this cage and like evenly sands multiple area, you know, a good portion of the cage. And then I took and bent these ocean handles, and I don't like ocean handles in the corner of the cage because I don't want somebody to put their hand there as we're, you know, rolling or something like that. But I did that to reinforce this cage because I know that that corner took the biggest hit. Okay, now same thing back here. Now these aren't finished welded in or anything like that. The back sides aren't welded. I basically just did this so that I could take it off without it springing if it was going to spring, blah, 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 blah. Basically, so I got gusset there. This is where the main of the gussets are going to be. So right here in this corner, got one here, and they all got to be finished welded in. Same thing up here. Got a handle in here. Made them all match, and we're going to reinforce it there. I got windshield bars that are just tacked in right now. Those are going to go in. So basically, and when I unbolted it, my door ended up closing correctly. It was a little bit tight. So basically, I straightened this cage and I'm going to reinforce it. I had it sandblasted so that I can check all the welds. Now, when I pulled the roof off and started pulling this thing apart, the cage had some paint flake, you know, it was flaking off. So I took a wire wheel, took it down to the weld, checked everything. No welds were ever cracked. Everything looks great. But for reinsurance, I'm just going to go over and double check everything. And yeah, so I just wanted to, you know, let everyone know the main plan was to buy a new cage, and I wasn't going to do nothing with this. Actually, another buddy was going to take this cage and fix it and use it on his machine, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. I can't wait, you know, 2 to 3 months before I even get the material. I could honestly cut all these joints, rebend this whole side with this JD square right here. This is a good bender. I love this bender. It's got 1 3/4 die on it, but I could rebend that whole side in the time that it would take for them to send me a cage. I mean, I could do it in a weekend, you know, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but so I'm going to change a few things, get the cage cleaned up, but here's the next problem. The next problem is the powder coater is going to take off work because his wife's having hip surgery. So he's been doing stuff for me. He did Daniel's roll cage for me. Basically, He needed to sandblast it. I need to fix it, weld on my light bar brackets, all the stuff I'm changing, and get it back to him. Now it's Monday. I picked it up Sunday night. I have to get all this stuff done and back to him, test fit it, and get it back to him by Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening, or it's not going to happen for like 3 weeks to a month, which really sucks, and I really can't go that long either. So we're out here. We're going to push. Recording takes a lot of time to, you know, demonstrate. We normally time lapse. We normally run a camera. I don't even know if I'm going to do that. So I'm going to try to cut in here and there and show you what's going on. But this is going to be a big build. We're doing a lot of stuff. Control arms, bumper sliders, roof, windshield. A lot of things are getting changed. So we'll show more of that when I'm able to slow down. But the cage is something I really got to push to try to get back out. So there's your update. Guys, so sorry for the very little video content of this, you know, whole process, but I'm trying to bring you up to speed, and we got a lot done yesterday. So now, yesterday was Monday, it's Tuesday now, got a lot done. I'm going to show you what we got done, and I don't know, if my brother wouldn't have showed up over here, I don't know if I'd get this done in the time crunch I have. Tomorrow it's got to go to powder coat, so I picked it up, you know, 7 o'clock, something like that, Sunday night, and it's got to be back to powder coat Wednesday. So bring you up to speed here a little bit. So first of all, I went and picked up this little A-frame bender here from Harbor Freight. I don't really like it. It leaves you know, creases, and it doesn't make nice smooth bends like if you were to make a complete 90 per se, because I've had this bender, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago and sold it because of that. I ended up having to, you know, pack the pipes with sand to get them to make nice smooth bends, and you really have to take their casted dies and like take a grinder and a file in there and really smooth them out, clean them up, because they're very rough. But that's what I used, and basically I
you would take the pins out and I'd slide the whole A-frame up and around the cage and then put the pins and the rollers back on the top, and then it would allow me to push up in the bent area. So that's how I got the bend out. But, so there's a few other things. So obviously this corner didn't really take a hit. It's that corner. And all that is bent back and looks great. The new roof lines up perfect. Everything else still lines up. Obviously had to weld on that new tab, that new tab, that new tab, those. Had to cut the mirror tabs off. But I went ahead and I don't like the idea of handles here because I don't want somebody to put their hand there as they roll over. But I needed to do something that still looked pretty decent as support for the corner, because the driver's side is really what took the hit. But I'm really happy with how it's turned out and straightened back up. So what I ended up doing is, so before I tried to make like all these joints like seamless. So this is a round pipe, you know, let's say it's between an 1/8 and a 1/4 inch thick. I don't exactly remember, but the top of this quick connect, this connector here, is a round like ball socket. So it left a nice joint all the way around it. So I know it's welded good. But I took and I wanted a streamlined cage where you see no welds and blah, 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 blah the first time I did this cage. So when I come back to over here, I wanted, this was all smooth originally. Well, with it being all smooth, I can't tell where this pipe meets this pipe. So to be for sure, even though I know that the weld was fine before, but how I got that streamlined look originally, if you guys have ever seen my machine in person, is I welded this and I lightly buffed it down, and then I came back in and I welded it again and I lightly buffed it down, and then that made it to where it was a nice smooth weld all the way around. Well, now with that being done before, I can't tell where this pipe meets this pipe. So if I were to lay a bead too far on this pipe, it might not connect that pipe, even though I know it's already welded, but I wanted to make sure. So I made a pass here, and then I came back in and I made another pass. So that's a double. That's 2 passes there. I know for sure we're good there, and that's all this is about peace of mind, knowing it's good to go. So same thing here. I wanted one here, another brace here, but it doesn't look right because the angle of this makes this one longer and this one would be shorter. So the ends of these, it would either be swooped up like this, or it just wouldn't look right. So I got one there, one there. Those are new. I got windshield pillars added in. Obviously the intrusion bars were already there, but those corner gussets, you know, will help strengthen side to side, and help strengthen that roof bar taking a hit again. And same thing here, you know, just come in with a, you know, double pass, 2 passes. Same thing in here. Come in here hot and heavy, hot and heavy, hot and heavy, so that I'm for sure getting to the joint. And I don't know, it's just about peace of mind. And I built the cage and put it together the first time, and obviously it worked just fine. I'm by far no professional welder, but self-taught, and I've built a lot of stuff, and I don't really have anything failing. So, but here's the other side. Now the trick with this is you can see here that this is not welded. If you see how smooth this is, that's what I was talking about over there. So when it was powder coated, it just looked like nice streamlined joints, and that's awesome. I wanted the sleek look. I didn't want you to see any welds before. Well, now I put this gusset on here before it went to sandblast. I tried to gusset this before it came off to where if like the cage was sprung, it would hold it there. Now previously I did unbolt it and it didn't really spring, but I bolted it back down and put these gussets in, and needless to say I had only the outside here welded. So what I noticed is this door was a little bit high, just a little bit higher here. So here's where it should be. It might have been up here, and what that was caused by is this leg right here being further forward, not too much. So basically when I had that gusset in there, I wouldn't be able to bend it back. So what I did is I took that gusset out and I hooked the strap to the bottom. With the cage off, I hooked the strap to the bottom and then hooked it to the back corner here and just pulled this leg back a little bit and made measurements off that side, because that side was gravy, perfect. And made measurements and got these two lined up, put them back in, and everything is lining up good like it's supposed to. So I'm happy there. Now that I got it bolted back in the machine, I can go ahead and clean this up and put this gusset back in here, and that'll be done. And then same thing here. You know, I came in all hot and heavy, and you know, that's one thing I don't like, but to feel comfortable about it, that's what I did. So, you know, just come in hot and heavy here. There's a couple starts and stops in there, but whatever. Same thing, you know, back here, just come in hot and heavy. And penetration really is key. So I had that sucker glowing. Basically, I just re-welding everything structural. Like you can see, like my tubes back here, like you can't see really the weld. Obviously that's where it's at, but I don't know. I'm not going to re-weld these joints per se, because I know that it's, you know, got an 1/8 inch or better weld all the way around it, and it's still flush. It can, that's fine. Same thing here. That's pretty streamlined. You can't tell. And that sander I was telling you about, if you see, like this almost looks like stainless steel. It's not. This is sandblasted and kind of rough, and this is with that belt sander. So the thing with that is, don't mind the garage, it's pretty tore up after yesterday. So I got a whole bunch of grinders. I got lots of grinders, lots of equipment. But these tubing sanders, I'll try to demonstrate it, but this arm is spring loaded. So when you push in, say my finger is the pipe, you push in, it caves around the pipe and it evenly sands, because you can't take a grinder or a flap disc and evenly sand the pipe. So that's what's nice about this. You can see where I stopped here and went up. I feel like my camera skills really suck today, but you know, it's 7:30 in the morning. But anyways, this tool, if you were to buy it as its own with a grinder and a nice attachment made for the grinder, they're $150 to $300, and I've been wanting one for a long time. It's a big benefit, big nice thing to have, but I just couldn't bring myself to paying for it. Wow, the other day I knew I wouldn't be able to do this cage the way I want it if I didn't have one of these. So basically, I bought this sucker. This is an attachment for like 55 or 60 bucks on eBay, and it gives you like two options. And needless to say, things in China must be a lot smaller, because that's my pinky. That little baby thread, I guess, is what your grinder is supposed to thread on. When my grinders, all of my grinders, you know, are something big like that. So bring that over here for comparison. That's a big difference. So how did I make that work, you ask? Well, first of all, the mounting point, it like clamps around it. That wouldn't work. I had to cut that and extend that, put a longer bolt in it so it'd clamp around the head of the grinder. Then I came in, this is actually what's supposed to thread on it. And if you see it's spaced up, you know, I don't know, ½ inch, something like that. I had to make my own mounting point. If you notice there's a gap there, I basically took a nut and welded it to the back side of that sucker. And I'm gonna tell you what, this thing is pretty legit. If it just had some better sandpaper, it came with like 6 pieces of sandpaper, and I didn't know what sizes to buy, so I didn't get anything extra. It was very vague descriptions. But I will say, if this thing just had some better sandpaper, this thing would be awesome. This stuff is just like paper thin. I have another belt sander over there, and it's got some nice thick paper, and I think if I get some nice thick paper for this thing will be great. But I still have 2 pieces of paper left. I'm really trying not to destroy them, or if you go the wrong, you know, if you go the, you know, away from it, it'll pull the paper off if you go too fast. Other than that, I figured it out, and it, I mean, as you can see, it works awesome. So on the other side of the cage, over there, when I put that bender on there, say it made a little ding in the top of the cage there, a little ding there, a little, like 3 or 4 dings along the top of the cage. Basically, once you bend, like tweak a little piece of cage, you're not going to be able to pull that dent back out. So I basically just welded it, filled it in, and then sanded it down with that tubing sander, and looks awesome. Now, me personally, I just rather have a brand new cage. Everyone else, you know, just told me to rock this cage. It's all good. There ain't nothing wrong with it. And they're right. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is before my machine got rolled, it had never been rolled. It never really had any damage done to it. One time I was doing donuts in Kentucky, and I don't know, slowly tipped on its side and like steered out of it until I was completely stopped, and it just went bloop. And it went onto this door and made a scratch. That's all it did. It landed on a rock and scratched it, a flat sandstone. So the cage had never had any problems, and I didn't want it like that. So if my machine, you know, was perfectly fine before it got wrecked, that's how I want it now. And that's why I am right here, because most people just keep rocking it and it'd have been fine. I could easily tweak the front door, you know, back to where it opened pretty decent, but I could have made it easier. But that's not how it was. So I want my stuff nice. If you guys don't notice, I try to take a lot of care of my machine, and you know, maintenance it a lot, and try to keep nice parts on it and keep it looking good. And I don't know, that's what I want to keep doing. So that's why we're taking the extra time to make this machine great again. So from here on out, I have still a front light bar that was supposed to be here Monday with this grinder, and needless to say, it didn't show up. So they didn't give me exact measurements or dimensions of the product when I ordered it, so I had to message them. I got them to send the dimensions, so I'm gonna try to mount light bar mounts that I made on the cage in the front without the product being here, which is, I don't know, something I don't like doing, because I'm basically gonna mount these tabs and send it to powder coat and hope for the best. And then the rear, I've always had a rear wing with 2 upper brake lights in it, and I took them rear lights out of that wing, and I bought this chase bar. I don't know, it's like 180 bucks on eBay and Amazon or whatnot. So I'm gonna mount that flush in my wing. So I have some custom tabs that I made on my CNC machine. I'll show you guys those when we get to that point. But I gotta mount that chase light on the back flush with the wing. I gotta mount a front light bar that I don't have, so that's gonna be magical. What else do I got to mount? I got a new mirror, because when we smacked the roof the day after the accident, old Mr. Brett from Silverback was going ham with his rubber mallet and smoked the mirror. But I got a new one. They're pretty cheap, 15-20 bucks. Then I got some nice mirror brackets that I made, and I'll show you those. We'll weld those on the cage. So I got to get that all in position. I got to put the front doors on, make sure that those align. I know the passenger side is going to be fine. It's the driver's side that I want to make sure of. But I'm going to go ahead and get all that on, put a seat in it, get the mirror mounted in. What else do I got to do? I don't know. There's still quite a bit of stuff to do. But a good majority of it got knocked out yesterday. I know it's a lot of rambling here, but I'm just trying to fill you guys in. And I'm going to try to charge in the batteries for the camera right now. I'm going to try to get a time lapse going so you can at least see this stuff, and hopefully later somebody can come by and give me a hand getting this off. Why we're doing this like this is because it's a bigger project, and Will works, you know, from 7 a.m. to 4:30 in the afternoon, and so during the week for him to get over here, with him having not a newborn but a toddler, it's a little bit harder to get him over here during the week